There is an unspoken of reason why this YouTube channel has been able to take off, and I have been able to make more and more videos, and an unspoken of reason why I went from working 80 hours doing multiple jobs, just trying to stay afloat, to only needing to work with my tea store. Quality is something that matters, sure, but only to an extent. If a tea is brewed in a forest and no one is around to drink it, is it actually delicious? My business would mean nothing without the eyes that see me, which follow with the taste buds that taste my product. The reason I was able to take off was thanks to Old Nick Rekieta. Old Nick was someone I started watching in 2019, when the controversy between Vic Mignogna, the voice actor of Broly from Dragon Ball, and Monica Rial, the voice of Bulma, erupted. Old Nick was what has been dubbed a YouTube lawyer, which nowadays carries a much different connotations than it did back then. Why did I continue to watch Old Nick? Because aside from the anime stuff, back then he was smart, funny, witty. He explained the law in ways that was easy for a simpleton to understand. We held many similar values which, I must admit, I don't necessarily hold on to anymore, and he is a prime example as to why. This is not a political talk, so I won't go into the details, but Nick, you are definitely a prime libertarian, and I'm not saying that as a compliment. Overall, Old Nick seemed like a genuinely good, entertaining guy, someone whose videos I look forward to every day. To show my appreciation, I one day sent him a box of tea. I didn't hear anything back, but I expected that. I was a random nobody sending a random gift. Then, several months later, I was pleasantly shocked as he gave me a shout out on his show.
We'll get started in earnest in just a second, but there is something that I haven't done, and I feel like a jerk for not doing it because someone sent me a very, very nice gift a while back. And I got it, and my kids stole it. And I really want to thank the person who sent it to me, especially because it's a business, and it's a business that some of you might enjoy. So this came from the Dragon's Treasure, and they make tea, and they sent me a bunch of tea. And so I want to certainly, like when I say they sent me tea, they didn't send me little Lipton bags, right? Look at this. It's premium loose leaf tea, individually packaged. This is a haven. Their tagline is a haven for anime and tea lovers. The Dragon's Treasure says, "I freaking love you, Nick." Hey, that's the tea man right there. Dragon's Treasure, I am sorry for taking so long to do this, but I'm glad we had a good audience for that, and we'll probably have a lot of subsequent audience. I wish you the best. I can't wait to drink some of this tea.
My business was minuscule up until that point. I had no idea what was going on with these multiple orders all rolling in at around 11:30 at night, until someone left a note with the order saying Rekieta Law sent me. This was April 1st, and was an incredible breath of life into my store, just as the lockdowns cut off almost all other sources of revenue. The next major event thanks to Old Nick was August 2020, my 5th year anniversary, where I took a risk on something. I tried to get permission beforehand, but I couldn't get a hold of him. But I sent this super chat and got this reaction.
Let's do these chats here. The Dragon's Treasure says, "Nick, your last shout out gave us the best non-convention month ever. Wow. Starting August 1st tonight, we are celebrating our 5th year anniversary and would love it if you help us celebrate it. We were looking to one day be a staple without bending the knee to the mob or diddling little kids, which seems to be the standard nowadays." Guys, if nothing else, guys, if you have not heard a more based and red-pilled ad read than that, that's what it is. That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
There were no contract signings, nothing but my word to him, and he allowed it. Naturally, for that year and every following year, I paid him what I agreed to pay him, along with bonuses. This blew the store up, and was the first time my store began to rake in real, living wage money. On that same month, I don't know if this is related or purely coincidence, but on this channel, my Naruto video, and by extension my YouTube channel, blew up as well. I managed to have a video cross 100,000 views before I was even monetized. Ain't that something? I would, at random times, set up more super chat coupon codes, where I tended to make a joke with the code more often than not. Some people found it annoying, and I do get it, but most loved it. Most of the people on my Discord discovered me through Rekieta, and he is still probably where half of my customer base originally came from. Thanks to him, after 2020, I was able to devote more time to the YouTube channel and make more videos. Now vids that would have taken me over a month to complete, I could get it done in about a week because I didn't have to work the odd jobs as much anymore. This also allowed me to invent what was essentially a new type of advertising, one that I still use to this day, Super Chat advertisements. A $20 Super Chat could net me as much as over $3,000 in sales, like it did during the biggest event for both Rekieta and myself. The next big event happened in November 2021, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Oh shit! That's it! Directed verdict. Directed verdict on all the murder charges. Kyle knows.
Yeah.
Directed verdict on the murder charges.
He just exhaled. Kyle oh, he looks like he's gonna cry.
How do you not acquit after that?
Look at bigger. Look at big boy.
Oh, big boy!
Oh, big boy. No donuts today, buddy.
A historic event for this country. Nick Rekieta, who is still old Nick at this point, pioneered something that downright changed the landscape of this corner of YouTube. He live-streamed the entire court trial, bringing on other lawyers to discuss the case in real time, give their legal opinions and insights, and do so in a way that the layman can understand. He didn't set out to do anything special, but he more than likely helped shape the trial itself, and at its peak had over 100,000 people watching. That is massive. Mind-blowingly massive. He got to go into Timcast IRL, spoke with Glenn Beck, made all the media rounds, and I was truly happy for him. I initially didn't want to do any coupon code during this time, as I felt it would be too inappropriate, but several folks convinced me otherwise. I okayed it with him beforehand, and thanks to proper timing, I created the now famous coupon code that is still mentioned to me to this day. 4 doors, more whores.
But speaking of super chats, the Dragon's Treasure says YouTube is censoring real message. Text sent to Twitter DM. Feel free to read when you deem appropriate. Well, I know that Dragon's Treasure will never send an appropriate super chat, but let me read it real quick here. He says, "Hello, humble anime-themed tea peddler here. Been a supporter of Mr. Rekieta for a few years." Oh, I see why they wouldn't accept this. This is long. For a few years now, and he has treated me too kind. He's given good graces to let me grift during his historic event. I make and sell anime-themed loose leaf teas and tea accessories, vouched by me, Nick, himself for being good, and maybe by some people on the current panel. Visit thedragonstreasure.com and use the appropriate coupon code 4 doors more whores on the website to get 10% off your next order. And part of every sale will be fed back to the Rekieta family.
Nice.
He also
Nice,
has an
Kurt.
anime. He has an
I'm
anime.
gonna help pimp here.
But
A Dragon's
in all
Treasure.
honesty,
Nice.
in all honesty, the Dragon's Treasure, he does have very good tea. Does he not, Kurt?
Yes.
You can.
Yes, he does have some wonderful tea and some wonderful flavors. For example, this one, Phoenix Ash, or this one. That's also wonderful. Earl Grey tea with vanilla cream. That's been very exciting in my life.
I like
So you can
Elixir of the
You
Gods.
can go.
Yeah, it's very good tea. And he did ask if he could send a super chat, and I said, of course you can, because
I was an adventurer like you until I was shot in the knee.
I had to cut the clip short because they went on for several minutes about my tea and things relating to it. That month was the most successful month I have ever had, where I made almost as much in that month as I did in all of 2019. It was the month where I stopped driving for Uber and Lyft, and almost the month where I stopped renting out my apartment to Airbnb. But I had one more guest after that solidified me never doing it again, but that story is irrelevant here. I could finally put all my focus into the business and the YouTube channel, and boy did I make both of those grow. It wasn't all easy, but it allowed me to upgrade my business in the background so I could make and complete orders much faster. It helped me finally move out of Illinois and down to Texas 4 to 5 months later. Both of these moments, the 5th-year anniversary coupon and the Rittenhouse coupon, put me on the map. Other trial events, such as the Johnny Depp trial, kept my momentum going, and it was a strong momentum that I rode until April 2023, where finally Biden's economy became too much for everyone. I had also met Old Nick in person during Anime Matsuri, where I again thanked him for everything he had done for me. And regardless of what I say later in this video, all of this is true and will always remain true. I don't know where I would be without what Old Nick did for me. With the immeasurable stress that was going on in my life from 2018 until that trial, where I began my 80-hour workdays, gaining 100 pounds in a single year after leaving my personal training job, and stopping all physical activity whatsoever, just so I could sit in front of a computer or inside of a car, my body became a broken wreck. And all of it seemingly for nothing, barely even surviving. Without Old Nick finally shining a light so others can see me, it is very possible that I would be lying in a casket underground with an extra bullet-shaped hole in my skull. As a heads up, the middle portion of this video will have little to no visual edits, as there's not really much I can do, so you only really need to listen. I'll let you know when I start doing video edits again. Of course, you probably noticed that up until now, I've been using the term Old Nick, because at some point, Nick Rekieta of yesteryear changed into the Nick Rekieta of today. Many speculate on when the change happened. When did we switch from Rekieta Law to Rekieta Law Shippuden? I personally believe, as do many others, it was when he came back from a vacation after the Johnny Depp trial. It was clear something about that trial, combined with unknown goings-on in his personal life, really did a number on him. It drained him. So he went on a much-deserved, much-needed vacation. When he came back, he did seem different. I thought it was a good difference, in fact. But, slowly but surely, everyone began to see the changes, not only in the shows, but to Nick. Certain moral principles he held on to, he no longer believed in. I think the most prominent example is when, in the past, he would say that you should never post any nudes on the internet, never show your ankles and chin in the same picture, things along those lines. And then he goes and posts a picture with a whiskey bottle in his butt. The Johnny Depp stream brought with it a whole host of wine moms, a completely different audience than what he was used to. There was a lot of butt posting and flashing going on locals that he, a married man who would have been opposed to them doing this in the past, but now he encouraged it, and even joined in, along with his wife. No, I'm not gonna show Lady Racket's butt cheeks, a sentence I would never have thought possible at one point. There was also the character in the chat named Mandy, which Rekieta, on multiple drunken occasions, talked about how he would totally bang her if it wasn't for him being married already.
Camelot, hey, do you know Mandy?
Yeah. How can someone not know Mandy?
She has nice tits.
Mandy is
That she
so
does.
fucking gorgeous.
Would eat that ass.
Oh my god. Mandy, if I were single, Mandy, you would never be single again. Mandy, if I were not married, girl, I would wreck you. I would save you. I would do whatever on earth. I would do
Also-
whatever on earth to praise you.
I mean, he would really go on about it. Eventually, it came out that Mandy was a dude who catfished him for years. His Discord became a raging dumpster fire, one which I decided to leave before he ended up nuking it, because he had no care or desire to maintain it. The alcoholism became overwhelming. Whereas in the past you'd catch him on rare occasion being so drunk he began to slur his words, it became the norm on his show. The amounts of broken promises became a running meme. I'll bring back the Chad Dad stream, I'll bring back the Big Brain panel, I'll do the 24-hour stream I promised, I'll do this, I'll do that. At this point the meme became, if Rekieta said he was gonna do something, you know that something was not gonna get done. He, the YouTube lawyer, stopped talking about legal topics and instead began to talk about things that no one in his old audience wanted to hear him talk about. But the new wine mom certainly did. He would talk about disturbing sex toys, most infamously the Baldo, banging his wife in various ways, including with the Baldo or in a sex swing. And let me be clear, he would seriously just go on and on and on and on and on again about banging his wife. If it wasn't about the sex swing or the Baldo or whatever else, it would be non-stop relationship advice, much of which came off as disconnected boomer talk. Even the off-the-cuff ramblings that he used to do, which I myself loved, became less and less interesting until they became more and more boring or even just annoying. It was like his quick wits began to fade with each passing night along with his liver. Eventually, I found myself questioning, why am I listening anymore? Nothing here interests me anymore. In fact, it often disgusts me. But I could not forget what he did for me, so I stuck it out for as long as I could. I tried defending Nick, who had began to turn into the very lowcow he used to make fun of, but he kept going down the drain. Why I think this happened. A combination of his poor time management of the Rittenhouse and death trials that broke him mentally and physically, combined with the mind-blowing success he suddenly gained. Along with the Rumble exclusive contracts, dude must have been making 7 figures at this point, but because of all this, he became apathetic, lethargic, and overall corrupted. I went from listening to every show he did to now maybe 1 or 2 a week if it looked like he was actually going to talk about something law-related or culture-related. I still did the coupon codes, but while it was still a good amount coming in, the amount I was getting was notably less with each passing month, as he continued to alienate and even insult his previous fanbase, which included a lot of anime weebs, because the Vic trial was one of the 3 major events of his channel that helped blow him up. Channels like Legal Vices or Steph the Ultra Nerd, that were about 20% of his size at the time, were bringing in more numbers. Finally, an event happened that just made me give up. I'm not going to rehash the entire event, so I'm just going to do some quick bullet points. A frequent guest of his named Camelot, also known as Kumalot due to him being a sex-obsessed homewrecker.
There's a salacious allegation in the chat, Camelot, that you, sir, are a home wrecker.
What? Yes.
Oh my God, what did you do?
You
How
wrecked
did you wreck
my
a
home. I don't know. Are they talking about a specific thing?
I don't know. Apparently, you're having sex with a bunch of married women.
Oh yeah. So
had the VTuber Pipkin Pippa on his show. Someone Nick previously wanted on his show, but her boss said no. Many people decried such a choice initially. Old Nick and Pipkin Pippa would have made for an amazing show, but now we understand it a little bit better. Anyway, Kumalot is one of those people who would do anything for a good grift. He will tell you in that totally ironic but not ironic tone of voice that side of YouTube always does, that everything is just purely for the money. Nothing else matters. VTubers bring in a lot of views and cash. So after the interview, he kept trying to do what he could to keep getting her attention. Finally, he did something that crossed the line. He posted a pic of someone else claiming it was Pippa, and she was over at his house. For many reasons, even joking about exposing a VTuber's identity is strictly taboo, more so than in any other industry I've found. It would have been all well and good if Kumalot apologized like a normal person, but there's no grift in that. So he insulted her entire company in a fake apology. Rekieta had some not nice things to say as well on a livestream. I and many others did not like what he had to say, but whatever. The matter seemed like it was done. On a Friday night, I can't remember if it was the same week as the Kumalot Pippa event, or if it was the next week, but some time had passed since then. Not 1, but 2 massive, impactful Supreme Court rulings dropped on that day. I wanted to know more about what were the ramifications of these events. Nick had a show on that night. The title of the show was about the rulings. He listed some other lawyers that will be on to talk about it. I was happy and excited. This is what made me fall in love with Nick's streams. Next morning, I put the show on, and to my surprise, Kumalot is on. For over an hour, with the other disinterested lawyers no less. Rekieta and Kumalot talk non-stop about Pippa, Face Connect, and VTubers as a whole, including the fanbase. They were insulting and degrading the entire time. Nick does something he's become infamous for at this point. He starts talking out of his butt about things he does not know anything about, like VTuber contracts and companies and all the behind the scenes dealings, but he pretends like he's been an expert on it. Finally, after that hour of insults, someone tries to get the topic onto the Supreme Court rulings. Nick barely utters half a sentence on them and moves on. That's it. 2 landmark decisions, and he instead decides to do the thing he totally hates doing, guys. The thing he somehow always wrapped up in, even though he tries oh so hard to avoid: drama. It wasn't like he was just making some funny jabs at the VTubers. I mean, he was really digging into the community. From that point on, I decided that's it. The rampant alcoholism, the constant non-stop discomforting sex talk, the insults. This was not the same man as 2 years ago, let alone 4, not by a long shot. I decided to quietly cut my ties. No longer support. No longer do coupon codes. Let's make no mistake. Even though his sales were drying up to less than half of what they once were, that was still tens of thousands of dollars every year that I had just walked away from. At this point in 2023, thanks to the crashing economy, my income was already down by almost 50% compared to the start of the year. So me walking away from all that money on a moral and principled stance, financially, it hurt. If you want to help me ease that pain a little bit, check out the website I keep going on about, The Dragon's Treasure, link down below. If you support someone who chose principles over money in a time when he really needed that money, let me see it, cause boy do I feel all that loss of revenue. Over 100 teas, we also have coffee, and now soaps, handmade by yours truly. Unlike the aforementioned people, I'm not gonna call this a grift, because I actually do love what I do. I don't have contempt for my core audience. If I had $1 billion, I would not retire. I would still want to run this company, and the spirit of what I'm doing is more important than the money, as I painfully showcased last summer. So buy some tea to help support me and get me through this economy, and let's get back to the plot, where I will return with making actual edits. Have things gotten better with Nick? God no. I haven't been hate watching Nick as some of his former fans have, but clips would occasionally come by my timeline, or people would send me things. At one point I actually had to tell somebody stop sending me these things, because I would get them almost on a daily basis. He has continued to alienate not only his fans, but former friends.
There are very few YouTubers out there that I will still talk to. I know people are like, no one associates with Rekieta. Guys, I stopped associating with so many people. You know why? Because they're dishonest.
He became Low Cow of the Year in 2023 on Kiwo Farms because of this downward spiral. He decided to team up with people like Juju the Cow, also known as Dick Masterson, and Vito, a man who has gone to uncomfortable lengths defending the movie Cuties and referring to those who go after children as we. These men prove that you don't need talent, skill, or looks to be successful. Just hate farm and drama farm and pay pigs will follow. He's gone after YouTuber and comic book creator Eric July repeatedly, non-stop, in many drunken rants, over essentially nothing. I've never given a dime to Eric, so I don't really have a reason to be on his side, but the amount Nick, Juju, and Vito have gone after this man's business is astounding, and is enough to piss off anybody at this point. The way Rekieta decided to start defending the movie Cuties.
I covered this yesterday on my live stream, and we watched the trailer, and I determined that basically everyone involved should get the gas. Like you said, there could be a daring and brave decision to do something, and it can still be unacceptable. And it can still be exploitative, and it can still put children at risk. And one of the key reasons that child porn is banned is not just the damage done to the children who's a victim of the particular photography. It's the idea that creating the market around the exploited children exposes more children to exploitation, and children are particularly vulnerable and unable to protect themselves.
A lot of people shit on Vito for his staunch defense of Cuties, also.
We're gonna need him up against the wall. Vito can go up against the wall.
Yeah.
I have no chill on Cuties, man.
None. Well, you don't want like 12-year-old girls being encouraged into thoughtery by a movie?
It's not child pornography, and it's artistic under the meaning given by the Supreme Court on obscenity. The right fruit thing is weird, but I guess I need to see the context. Rekieta has finally, with no more bridge left with me, being left on red, has gone through and finally committed to the shtick. And he is now firmly on Team Juju the Cow, Team Christopher Gozaldi the pedophile. And he's now defending Cuties as an artistic expression, criticizing the sexual exploitation of children by sexually exploiting children, by having crotch shots on 11-year-olds in leotards. They're making a point about Hollywood or some shit.
And even grave desecration are further signs of his decline. This video's length is already much longer than I intended it to be. I was gonna go into even more detail, show more videos of a drunken Nick, showcasing more hypocrisy, talking about specific events, like how he drunkenly attacked the trust of a man who reached out to him because he wanted to off himself. But many videos have been done on this already. And the point of all this, believe it or not, is not to bash Nick. What sparked this is what happened on a stream on Tuesday, May 20th, where Nick became whatever this is.
Why would you do this? Why now?
That's not the man who helped my tiny tea store all those years ago. That's not the man who so many found to be intelligent, informative, funny, and capable of communicating complex topics to an uninformed, reasonable audience. I made this video, Nick, because you're going to see it. You're probably going to live react to it on stream. If the right people pick up on it. Hearing what I'm saying from people who don't give a damn about you probably doesn't mean anything. So maybe hearing it from someone who owes so much to you will. You need help. You are not in a good space at all. You are an alcoholic, and a bad one at that. I don't know what you're taking, but you're taking some kind of a drug. I heard about how you decided to take January off from drinking, but you decided to change that to you'll take January off from drinking on stream. I don't even know if you held on to even that. You are missing more shows than you're making, which I am sure goes against your contract. Your weird, over-the-top lies, like your 107-degree temperature or whatever you claim to have, are getting worse and worse. I don't know what else it will take for you to realize this, but you more than likely do need to go to rehab. And afterwards, you're going to have to make a lot of apologies to a lot of people. No, not any woke mob, and not to people who only want to see your downfall. Your friends, your family, your audience, the ones who still care about you. I want you to once again be a man I can happily say that I support, not someone that I have to apologize and make excuses for that I used to support. You were a good family man, and even though I'm not a Christian, I still viewed you as one of the better examples of a man with a strong Christian base. This is not the style of content I normally make. If you expect more of these drama videos, there's no point in subscribing. To any former fans who found me after so much time, well, hello I guess. Check out the links in some of my videos to see if the content I normally make is something up your alley. And once again, to Nick, find some help, or at some point you will cross a line in which no apology will work on anyone else again.